client will ask that whether the DR servers are working fine or not in case of any crash happened in the DC. So that is also one of the reason we use disaster recovery.
Okay.
People ask that whether the DR servers are working fine or not in case of any crash happening in the DC. So that is also one of the reason we.
What else, guys? What do you think? What do you think? Why we use Dataguard? What is the purpose of Dataguard? What do you think?
Disaster recovery.
Disaster recovery. What type of disaster you are talking about?
Like in case of any performance issue or whatever will be hung, and then those kind of situations, the standby will be acted as a primary, and we are using two instances but connected with the same database.
Okay. Okay. So see, the problem with the database, what we observe right now is, so we will have a server, right? We will have a server, and that server is basically a machine. You called it as a physical machine. You consider that it's a physical machine which is located in some location. Let's say you have a machine available, and that's available in USA location. Okay, so you have a machine available in USA location, and which is a server for us. On that machine you have installed your Oracle Linux 7.9, which we are using as of now, and on the top of that we have installed the database. Okay, so you consider that you have a machine which is available in USA location, and on the top of that we have installed the database, and that database is connected with some applications, and that application is used by the multiple application team. They are using that application. Okay, so when everything is fine, we are happy, my client is happy, there is no problem. But assume a situation that there is a situation happened where which cannot be handled by the normal human being, just like a disaster kind of situations. Now let's say there is a disaster kind of situations, like you have earthquake is there, flood is there, tsunami is there, fire is there. Okay, so if earthquake is coming into some building or overall complete the region will be impacted, and there is a very high chances that my location where my server is available, that location got impacted. Okay, so if your server is not accessible, your database will not be accessible, right? If your server is not accessible, your database will not be accessible, and if you are not able to connect to your server, you will not be able to connect to your database also. Normally what happened, like if something went wrong to my database or server, we take the remote and we try to fix the issue. But here the situation is different. The situation is that you got the disaster. Disaster means you got the flood. So when you have a flood, definitely you cannot go to that location also, you cannot start the server also, or if that server got damaged, you cannot recover it also. It will take a time. Okay, or there is a chances that the complete server has been trashed or it got fired. Now you do not have access, you do not have access. So when disaster kind of situations happen, how can I ensure that my data is safe? I know that we have a backup available, but backup cannot be of the latest time. Like let's say I got the disaster by 8:45, which is the current time. So do we have a backup available till 8:45? No, right? I have a backup available till yesterday, or maybe 5 hours back I have taken a backup. Maybe I don't have a backup for a week also. I was about to take a backup, and before that only the disaster kind of situations occur. So when such a type of things will happen, when such a type of things will happen, in that case, okay, in that case, we need, we need, you know, we need a solution on which I can say that, okay, my data is safe. At least I have a copy of my data is available. And that solution is provided by the Oracle. We called it as a Oracle Dataguard environment. So Dataguard environment is your disaster recovery solution. We called it as a DR solution. DR solution means, let's say I have my primary server available in USA location. The same example I'm taking, where my users were able to connect, like they were coming, they were connecting to that, and everything was fine, everything was fine. And what I will do, I will create one more copy of the same server in nearby to that location. Let's say if my primary is available in USA, so I'll create a standby in my Singapore location, not in the USA only, because when disaster will come, it may impact to both the locations. So I'll try to create it in Singapore location. So there will not be huge gap also in between. It will be nearby, but in two different locations. So I will create one primary server where my users will be connecting to that database. They will do their transactions and everything will be happening on our primary server only. So like all the users will be connecting to the primary server. They will create a table, they will insert the data, they will update the data, everything will be happening on my primary server. And whatever transactions you are doing on your primary server, whatever transactions you are doing on your primary server, the same transactions will be get copied to your standby server, which is in Singapore location. So what I mean to say, if I'm showing you here, so let's say I have a server here, which is my called primary server, and on that server we have a database installed. If I'm creating any table here, and if I'm inserting any data into this table, automatically the same table will be created here and same data will be inserted here. So whatever transactions I'm doing here, if I'm doing any insert, update, delete, anything, that will be happening automatically here. Automatically it is happening on my standby machine. Why we called it as a primary machine? Because all my users are going to be connect to the primary server only here, and this will be my standby machine. So we can convert this standby machine as my primary machine if this USA location got impacted and there is a disaster. So I can bring up my database from the Singapore location and I will convert it as a primary machine. So if I have 1000 table here, automatically 1000 table will be available here, because whatever transactions which you are doing on primary, everything is replicated on your standby machine automatically, everything automatically. So this is a disaster recovery solution, DR we call it as. So that is the reason we have come up with the Dataguard kind of environment. That is the reason we have come up with the Dataguard kind of environment. Now there will be a question in your mind that, okay, how can we set up the Dataguard? Do we need any additional software? Just like for ASM we use grid software, right? So for Dataguard, do we need to use any additional software? No. The software which we have used earlier, like you can use Oracle software to create your database, and if you want to use Grid for your file system, if you want to use ASM, it's not compulsory, then you can use Grid software also. If you want to store your database related files, then you can use that, but only Oracle software is enough, and you just need to add some of the Dataguard related parameters that is required. I'll talk about that. Then there will be a question like the disaster is not going to be happen daily, right? The disaster is not going to be happen daily. So then what is the use of this Dataguard? Because this is costly setup. Why it is costly? Let's say earlier I was spending, the client was spending $1,000. Now how much dollar he need to spend now? He need to spend $2,000 because there are two copies are available. Because we have two copies of our servers are available, right? So he need to spend $2,000. He need to spend $2,000 now. So that is the reason, like in real time production environment, all the servers you will not find with the Dataguard setup. There will be some critical applications which are critical application. That critical application will be with the Dataguard setup. So when disaster is not happening daily, what is the purpose of the standby database? Okay, what we are going to do? See, this standby database you can use for your backup purpose, for your reporting kind of work. All this can be done by your standby side. How? Backup purpose means like if I want to take RMAN backup, I can take RMAN backup from here also, from my primary. I can take the RMAN backup from standby also, because anyway both the databases have same to same data, right? Same to same data is there, na? Remember that these are the two different machine, okay, two different server. So if I want to set up Dataguard, there are two machines I need to set up. So if I want to take the backup, anyway, because when backup is running, it is going to consume a lot of CPUs, memory, storage also, right? So it will consume the resources from this side now, standby side, and he will be free to do their primary work. Reporting kind of work means, let's say there are some of the jobs are available. There are some of the jobs are available which we were running from the primary. Let's say it is a daily job, and we were running that daily from primary side. So what I can do, I can do all that regular jobs from the standby side. I can run that. Now I don't need to run that from primary side. I can run that from standby side also. The regular jobs I can run it from standby side also. So basically it is, making the life easier for your primary server. It is making the life of the primary server much easy, because most of the repetitive jobs are now done from the standby side, and this primary server have their own resources, this standby server have their own resources. Both are completely separated from each other. This is a separate database, this is a separate database. Only the good thing in between Dataguard setup is, if I'm making the changes here, automatically their changes will come to the standby set automatically. How and how it is going to be happen, that I'm going to discuss in very some time. I'm going to discuss about that. But till now, whatever we have discussed about this Dataguard introduction kind of part, did you understand why we use Dataguard and all?
Yes, sir.
And how it is?
Sir, when we have data guard environment, then backup should we take, or like how what is the process for like fundamentally should we take backup because everything is being copied already?
See, there is a chances that my standby can also go and primary can also go, correct? That is one thing. Both the machines can go. We can have multiple standby also, but if you have multiple standby, okay, if you have multiple standby, then it will be very very costly also. Now coming to the backup part, uh, see, even though if I have a backup, and if I'm trying to restore it, it will take a time. Backup is not a thing like, if I start the backup restoration now and immediately it will happen. It will take a time. So even though you have a data guard setup, still you will take the backup, because there is a chance that your primary and standby both can go, and both can be impacted also. And backup, like, we always take the backup, okay? Because let's say you want to restore something, so you can definitely restore from your backup also. Every time, I cannot give my data guard for testing purpose to someone, so I should have a backup. And if someone want to play with the data and all, they can play it on another server by using this backup only. So that is also possible. Now coming to the practice part, like, if I want to do the setup, we need how many machines? Minimum 2 machines. We can have multiple standby. So if you want to do the setup, actually you need 2 servers. One is a primary server and another will be a standby server. Second thing will be the machine minimum configurations. You need 16 GB of RAM. Why you need 16 GB? What do you think? Why you need 16 GB? Because let's say for one machine you are giving 6.5 GB, another machine you are giving 6.5 GB, so 13 GB is gone. At least 3 GB you required for your base OS, which is your Windows operating system, right? So 16 GB is gone. So those people who have 8 GB RAM, they cannot do the installation of data guard environment. It will be quite difficult. Okay, understood? Till now, any confusion?
No, Ankush.
All good, everyone?
Yes.
Okay.